Hello, and thank you for joining me, Jennifer Kirkland, along with my classmate Macey Taylor, for our collaborative presentation on hip hop and rap in the South. Our presentation includes both informative slides and insightful interviews. We hope you find it both educational and enjoyable. We wanted to begin by providing you with a brief timeline of the origin of hip hop. Before the start of this collaborative presentation, I thought hip hop began in the 90s, which is when I first remember hearing hip hop music, but that's not true. Hip hop has played a vital role in the music world and society long before the 90s. Let's dig a little more into this by starting at the beginning. Research has the birthplace of hip-hop as being the Bronx, which is located in New York City in the 1970s. The sound and messages were very different from what you may hear on the radio today. The message in hip-hop music during this era focused on calling attention to financial hardship and injustices faced by blacks within their communities. The 1980s brought about the new school artists. The mid-1980s to mid-1990s is when its listeners noticed a dramatic change in the sound of hip-hop music. Producers and artists began to sample and experiment with different instruments and sounds. Hip-hop music evolved along with technology by creating complex beats not previously heard before. In the mid to late 1990s, that's the subgenre of rap music is born. Rap music provides listeners with a valid depiction of urban living. Rap music has a huge fan base, and for many it's the only window into some of the struggles experienced in marginalized communities, making it very popular among white society. The mid to late 1990s is also when hip-hop artists began to receive commercial success through awards, music, and branding deals. By the 2000s, hip-hop music and all of its subgenres are mainstream. You can hear it anywhere around the world. Hip-hop music had become one of the most top-grossing genres of music, but many did not consider rap artists from the South to be contributors to hip-hop's success. Southern hip-hop provided a distinct voice and sound that challenged the dominance of New York and West Coast hip-hop. With pioneer rap artists and producers like Outkast and Jermaine Dupri by way of Atlanta, Georgia, Scarface by way of Houston, Texas, and the rap group UGK by way of Port Arthur, Texas, just to name a few. The South's contribution to hip-hop is unmistakable and undeniable. This slide poses an important question. What is hip-hop? We didn't want you to think too hard about this question, so we gave you the answer. Hip-hop is culture. The influences of hip-hop is easily found in education, fashion, dance, and human services. Let's first discuss how hip-hop influences learning and education. Hip-hop and rap music break down learning and communication barriers within non-marginalized community. Listening to hip-hop music can aid in learning AAE, which is an abbreviation for African American English. Hip-hop music exposes individuals to a vocabulary that is unfamiliar to most but easily interpreted by listeners of this genre of music. The influence of hip-hop of fashion can be traced all the way back to the 1970s. A current example, and one I personally experienced in the 90s, was the backward fashion craze pioneered by the hip-hop group Criss Cross. Overnight, wearing baggy clothes backwards became a major part of fashion. Moving on to dance. Dance has always been a major part of hip-hop. Much like rhythm and rap, hip-hop and dance are linked together and is a major part of African American culture. Hip-hop has birthed many forms of dancing, from breaking to popping to locking, and currently crumping, just to name a few. Outside of beats and sounds, hip-hop artists have used their platforms as forms of human services, most notably the group TLC. TLC was a female rap group who made the bold choice to wear condoms on their clothes and accessories to encourage safe sex, not only within marginalized communities, but worldwide.
Okay, we're sitting here with Shahid Tawheed today. We're going to talk a little about his music, and we're going to talk about hip-hop in general and hip-hop in the South. Shahid, how you doing?
I'm doing better than I deserve, brother. How are you?
I like it. Doing great. It's a nice day.
Indeed.
So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your music that you make and your community work here in Birmingham, Alabama.
So yes, 1-2, and the place to be is Shaheed Toheed. I am one half of the hip hop recording group, Shaheed and DJ Supreme, and we also have a foundation for the youth called Knowledge, Rhythm, and Understanding Crew, KRU, and it's basically where we teach youth and kids and adults with disabilities and youth with disabilities. We teach them the elements of hip hop, the four main elements of hip hop and the principles of hip hop, the way that we practice it. We are classical practitioners of classical hip hop, which is MCing, DJing, breaking, and graffiti. And some people also include knowledge is the fifth. And Knowledge, Rhythm, and Understanding is our program where we teach kids how to use the art form of hip hop using peace, love, having fun, and unity.
It's beautiful. How were you first exposed to these elements of hip hop, and what drew you to it?
Man, I've been exposed to the art form and culture of hip hop since I was very young, since I was a shorty. I want to say maybe as early as 4 years old. My father, cousin, and I had an uncle, and then my brother, best friend, was one of my DJs making beats and for me and let me record. And then as I got older, my mother made me keep a journal, so I always had to write. And so since kindergarten, first grade, I always had to keep a journal every day of what I did every day. I thought it was awful and boring and all of that. So that's when, when you're introduced to hip hop and artists and you listening to, when I grew up, it was Rakim, Gang Starr, Big Daddy Kane, things like that, EPMD, Daz Effects, so many to name, but that's what influenced me to want to do it. And so I took my journal and just turned them into rhymes, and then as I got older, I became, very good and solid at it. Battled a lot in middle school, high school, and then once I turned about 18, I've been pretty much on the scene in Birmingham since I was 18. DJ Supreme had an event here in Birmingham at the time called the Eargasm.
What year was that?
That was like 99 to 2004. Right. So I was a participant in that, regularly performing in that, and then over the years, different hip hop collectives popped up that we were a part of, that we helped establish and build. So I've been on this scene since I was 18 years old, pretty much. And so now it's the time to give back, to introduce the younger generation, give them something to have, that we didn't have.
Right on.
Because a lot of the things that we do, we didn't have access to until we got older. Mm-hmm. And we always dreamed and fantasized about it when we were younger. Even when it comes to equipment, looking in the back of a magazine and trying to get this piece of equipment and all of that. If you don't have the money, your parents don't have the money, you're dreaming about it. So one of the things and goals that we like to do is provide that for youth who have that same ambition and drive. We provide a platform for them to do that.
That's great. I know you guys did some stuff with skateboarders in the skating community, and I was thinking about parallels of, when I was in high school, skaters used to get in trouble, and it was kind of a thing that it was maybe too much of like a negative influence, or like even like a connotation to what skaters were up to. And I feel like hip hop's in a similar place. And likewise, Faith and the skate park here have done a good thing to like have a positive space for kids to like
absolutely
to grow and to learn about that community.
Absolutely, because if you don't provide it, if it's not there, mm-hmm. then this is when it can go left. The fact that people like Peter from Faith have been this is his 30th year doing what he does. Mm-hmm. And so for 30 years he's been, sacrificing for the community and the scene to get it seen and get it to where it's going. And so we partnered with him on a song called Skates and Crates. the whole purpose of the song was to show the similarities between hip hop and skate culture.
Right.
Because in hip hop you have decks. The turntables are called decks, right? When you go in a record store, people record shop, there's crates. You go in the skate shop, there's crates, decks in the crates. When you freestyle as an MC on the microphone, that's freestyling on the mic. In skating, there's a moves called freestyles.
Yep.
So there's so many similarities with hip hop and skating, and so that song we did, Skates and Crates, was to highlight that influence hip hop and skate culture together, but also because we're from Birmingham, is represent what we have here. Like, so many people feel like they got to go somewhere else, and they go to Atlanta, LA, and Nashville to establish. It's like, nah, you can establish what you got here, because if you don't, that's why people want to leave. But our thing is like, why leave when you can do it yourself?
Exactly. Think global, stay local.
Exactly. And you can be global and still, you can be local and still go global. It happened for us. We were fortunate and blessed to tour with one of the greatest hip hop groups of all time, 4 times, Jurassic 5. They took us on tour with them in the States and out of the States. So it's a proof that it can be done.
Right on. That'll kind of lead us into the next thing I want to talk about, which is being from the South, making hip hop music, coming from Alabama, coming from the South, and bringing it outside. When you met up with those guys, touring, nationally and internationally, how was just that fact perceived, and what do you think part of your identity, just from being from here, would you convey in that?
I can tell you this: when we were with them, a lot of the people, their fans and supporters, couldn't believe that the type of hip hop we do exists here in Birmingham. They for some reason people don't think that we have hip hop here, and it's like, I don't know. I understand why, because of what typically people think is associated with Southern rap, but we have a hip hop scene in the South,
and more like a traditional hip hop scene.
Yeah, more. Yeah, we have it, and the thing is that it may not be as popular as many people think, but it's here. It's what we do, and it's how we do it.
Right, because I guess in the broader sense, people do relate the Memphis and the Houston and Atlanta hip hop, the mainstream stuff. So when you're with a band like Jurassic 5,
right,
they're going to tie you more to that,
exactly.
Just stereotypically, I guess.
Exactly.
So you kind of broke down those barriers a little bit.
Yeah, because
I've experienced that in just indie rock, just being a musician. When you go to New York or you go to Germany. You know, Ron? Okay. Okay, so we're talking about the perception of Southern artists outside the South and maybe struggling with those stereotypes. I get it in the music world, and you've gotten it on tour. Mm-hmm. What do you think the future is for that, and how do we kind of bring people together, or while also kind of maintaining what we can, try and even, accept about like Southern culture?
I'll say this about that. If you look at Birmingham particularly, historically, look at all of the legendary acts from the past. We're not even talking about now. We'll just stick with the past. We'll go with the Temptations, Eddie Kendricks being from Birmingham, Sun Ra, Birmingham. Then you have, Muscle Shoals. You have jazz artists like Eric Essex. So historically, Erskine Hawkins, Tuxedo Junction. They're even doing a movie about that now.
Right on, yeah.
It's always been here. But when it comes to hip hop, it's always looked down upon for some reason, and sometimes people equate only one thing from the South. a certain type of hip hop from the South. So when people hear the hip hop that we do, they tend to be shocked about it. My thing is, it's like we have been on stages with some of the legends that we grew up listening to from all over the place, and we've got songs with a lot of different legends as well. We've been on stage with a Jurassic 5. And we've got songs with Master Ace from the Juice Crew, and the legendary hip hop artist Ed O.G. We have some more features coming with legendary hip hop artists from the West Coast. So for us, we don't look at it like it's a negative thing. We look at it like we're a part of the tree, and we're just as good as any hip hop from anywhere else.
Right.
And I don't know why it's looked down upon or people don't think it's from here. It's just because maybe it's not shown enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the proof is there, and I think that people just need to open their minds to understand, like, just because when you say Southern culture, even artists who went to places like New York and LA, a lot of them are from the South. One of the greatest beat makers of all time, DJ Premier, he's from Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But he shaped what New York hip hop sounds like.
Exactly.
But he's from the South.
Exactly.
So technically, that's a Southern person, Southern artist who influenced the game on a whole nother level. So, I just think that people just need to, get out of the mind frame of what's Southern per se, or because it's in a pot.
Right, it's all tied together.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the story of the country, as
Exactly.
we know it today. Really.
Exactly.
And you can equate hip hop to that and all other forms of music, really.
Exactly. It's hip hop is that thing that one of the legends in hip hop from the Cold Crush Brothers, Grandmaster Caz, he has a saying. He says that hip hop didn't invent anything, but it reinvented everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that saying because it stands true. Hip hop is very innovative, and it's the art form, and it's a culture. It's all of these things that are mixed up together. So however you make it sound where you from is what it is, And so we just happen to be more on the end of what people call classical hip hop.
Yeah.
That's what I would, or vintage, whatever you want to call it, is hip hop, and we're in the South. So it's still a Southern, to us, it's our representation of what we say or what we think Southern hip hop is.
Right on. It's cool, because in New York, I was thinking about punk rock too, and when that all happened, there was a place and time in the 70s, and I don't know if it was just the conditions in New York City at the time, but so much stuff kind of came from the underground to uplift communities, and I think that was the original intent of what was happening in those days, and I appreciate you guys for kind of keeping that alive in Birmingham and bringing it in the South. And
we have to.
Just do your thing.
It's our obligation to do it, because if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right.
No one. And then if we don't preserve it, then the next generation, they won't have it. They won't know about it. See, history, if you don't know your history, you really don't know where you're going. Mm-hmm. You don't know. So, the history is important, and it needs to be documented and preserved so the next generation can see, oh, okay, this was before me. Oh, we had this, we have this, we have that. Because everyone is different. One kid might like something like this, and he might like something like this, but he doesn't know the history. And then they'll take it and do it better than what we ever did.
Right, exactly.
Then it's on them to do it bigger and better than what we're doing.
There you go. Pass it along.
Got to.
Shaheed, thank you so much.
No problem, bro.
Great
Thank
talk.
you. Always.
Keep up the good fight.
No problem. Hey, long as I'm living, I'm fighting.
All right, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hip-hop will continue to be an integral part of American music, style, and art. From the Bronx to Birmingham to the globe, what began in the underground has changed American culture and made an everlasting mark on the world. Southern hip-hop is part of all parts of the hip-hop story and represents how the social currents from the South continue to shape American identity.